Heartwarming twist, Orphan discovers she's not just sold, but an amazing daughter in need. Maisie had never thought of herself as anything but broken. But on that chilly autumn morning, with leaves crunching underneath her worn-out sneakers, she was about to find that sometimes you have to break to be rebuilt. The local diner buzzed with the usual morning crowd, familiar faces, stories shared over coffee cups, but to Maisie, it felt heavy today. She slid into her apron, the familiar smell of bacon and fresh coffee enveloping her. In her heart, she was just a girl struggling to keep her younger brother, Tommy, safe and healthy. Orphaned at a young age, she built a fortress of dreams around herself, one that could crumble at any moment. As she poured coffee for Mrs. Henderson, the widow with a penchant for gossip, she could almost hear the whispers. "Did you hear about Maisie? Her mother wanted to sell their house." For a while, that had felt like an anchor, a hint of hope in a storm, but then the realization hit her. Selling their home meant sealing away all memories of her mother. It was as if the past was slipping through her fingers like grains of sand. On an impulse, she peeked into a dusty box of her mother's old belongings after work, searching for answers. Wrapped in yellowed newspaper was an old letter, her mother's looping handwriting almost too much for her heart to bear. "To ensure you and Tommy have a better life." With every word, Maisie's chest tightened. Had her mother believed that selling their home would bring them happiness? Maisie felt the weight of her mother's choices pressing against her, pushing her to the edge with its cruel reality. Before we continue, I need to let you know about something important that's happening. YouTube has been making changes to the system, and many people are losing notifications from channels they follow. If you're enjoying the content, hit that bell and mark all notifications so you don't miss the next videos. And if you can drop a like, it really helps me with reach. Seriously, it makes a difference. Oh, let me know in the comments where you're watching from. I'm always curious to know who's on the other side of the screen. Now let's continue. As days turned into weeks, the arrival of the Mitchell family next door added a jolt of unpredictability to her routine. Sarah Mitchell, with her kind smile and warm eyes, seemed like a picture of comfort. But there was something hidden behind that serene facade, an ache lurking just beneath the surface. Maisie began to notice the tension in Sarah's movements, the way she sometimes stared off into space, battling demons no one else could see. When Tommy's health took a sudden downturn, Maisie felt a pull toward Sarah, drawn in by the flicker of understanding they shared, both facing storms of their own, sitting across from each other with cups of steaming tea. It was as if the weight of their separate worlds began to lift. The bond grew stronger, stitched together by shared grief and the undeniable craving for family. Would Sarah see glimpses of her lost daughter in Maisie's resilient spirit? And could Maisie allow herself to believe that healing could come from this unexpected connection? As the winds of change howled around them, Maisie took a step back, staring at the deep chasm between what she had lost and what she might gain. The question hung heavy in the air: would she dare to embrace this new family she yearned for, or would the shadows of her past continue to loom large, threatening to sever the fragile threads she had started to weave together? Maisie woke up the next morning to a muffled chorus of birds chirping outside her window. The sun peeked through her curtains, casting a warm golden glow across the room. For the first time in weeks, she felt a flicker of hope. Maybe, just maybe, things could change. After a quick breakfast of toast and jam, she tied her hair back and dashed over to the Mitchell's house. The vibrant autumn sun made everything feel fresh, invigorating. Sarah had mentioned they were going to the park to enjoy the crisp air, and Maisie wanted to be part of that little escape. She knocked gently, her heart racing at the thought of deepening their friendship. "Maisie, come in." Sarah's voice was bright and welcoming. She wore a light sweater and jeans, looking effortlessly radiant, yet the tiredness in her eyes was still unmistakable. "Where's Tommy?" Maisie asked as she stepped inside. "Still getting ready. I thought I'd let him sleep a little longer." "He had a rough night," Sarah replied with a slight sigh. Maisie's heart sank. She felt the weight of her brother's health pressing down on her. "I can watch him for a bit if you need me to," she offered, her voice a mix of determination and concern. Sarah looked at her, surprise flickering across her face. Oh, would you? That would be a great help. With that, Maisie knew it was a small step towards forging deeper ties with the Mitchells. Once Sarah headed off to finish preparing, Maisie rushed upstairs to check on Tommy. He lay curled up in bed, his feverish face flushed. She knelt beside him, brushing a sweaty strand of hair from his forehead. "Hey, buddy. It's me, Maisie," she whispered, her own emotions threatening to spill over. "I'm here." His eyes fluttered open, the faintest smile creeping onto his lips. Maisie, his voice was barely a whisper, but enough to tug at her heartstrings. "Do you want to draw? Or we could watch cartoons," she suggested, her voice light, trying to bring a spark back to his tired eyes. Tommy nodded slowly, and she quickly fetched paper and crayons. Sitting together on the floor, she watched as his enthusiasm slowly ignited, brilliant colors emerging under his small hands. Every stroke spoke of imagination, taking him away from the illness that threatened to hold him captive. "Look! It's a dinosaur!" Tommy exclaimed, his eyes lighting up. With a soft laugh, she pointed back at her own creation, a purple rocket ship, "And this is our ride. We can visit the stars." The laughter they shared felt like music, lifting the heaviness that hung in the air. By the time Sarah returned, Maisie had almost forgotten about the worries weighing on her shoulder. But a glance at Tommy's pale face reminded her they were still in the thick of it. Yet Sarah seemed different upon entering. "Wow, you two look like you're having so much fun," she said, her tone brightening the room like sunshine breaking through clouds. Tommy drew a dinosaur. "Can you believe it?" Maisie grinned, feeling their bond strengthening. Sarah crouched down, examining the artwork with genuine interest. "That's amazing. I bet it flies to the moon, right?" As they chatted, a new energy filled the atmosphere. The laughter and creativity swirled around them, a soft thread weaving their lives closer together. Maisie caught a glimpse of a future, a hopeful one where the shadows of loss began to fade, but just as hope began to bloom, the doorbell rang, cutting through the warmth in the air like ice water. Sarah's expression froze momentarily, her smile slipping as she glanced toward the door. Who could that be? Maisie wondered aloud, but deep down she felt a chill creep up her spine. As Sarah opened the door, the atmosphere shifted. A man stood there, wearing a stern expression, an envelope clutched tightly in his hand. The mood in the room turned tense, and Maisie felt every muscle in her body tense up, sensing that whatever news lay behind that door could change everything. Who was he? And what would his arrival mean for Maisie, Tommy, and their newfound connection with Sarah? Maisie felt a knot form in her stomach as she watched Sarah's expression twist from surprise to something harder, more guarded. The man at the door didn't appear to be delivering good news, his rigid posture suggested something serious was weighing on him. Her heart-pounded questions flared in her mind. "Can I help you?" Sarah asked, her voice steady yet laced with uncertainty. The man cleared his throat, shifting on his feet. "I'm here to talk about Tommy," he said, his tone clipped and businesslike, yet carrying an underlying empathy. "I'm sorry to intrude, but I'm from the hospital. We need to discuss his condition." Before Maisie could take a breath, she felt a surge of panic swirl through her. Tommy's hand gripped the blanket, his small body tensing as he turned to look at Sarah. The shadows of worry crept back onto her heart, overshadowing the brief moment of joy they had shared. Sarah put a reassuring hand on Tommy's shoulder, her eyes reflecting a mix of worry and fierce protectiveness. "What is going on?" she pressed, her mouth forming a hard line, bracing for the worst. The man glanced back at Tommy, who was now wide-eyed and much more aware. "We've seen some changes in his test results. We might need to consider more treatment options soon." Maisie's heart sank further, the weight feeling unbearable. "What kind of changes?" she asked, her voice almost a whisper. "As of now, his fever seems persistent. We're concerned it could be linked to some complications that may arise from his diagnosis." The words hit like a gust of cold wind in a darkened room. Maisie could feel Tommy's little hand trembling beneath her fingers. She squeezed it lightly, determined to keep him anchored. He'll be okay, right? She said, more to herself than anyone. With a heavy sigh, the man lowered his gaze. I can't promise that. But we'll do everything we can. His eyes softened as they met Sarah's, an unspoken understanding passing between them. Maisie couldn't shake the feeling of helplessness as she observed the quiet exchange. In that moment, all her earlier hope felt fragile like a bubble ready to burst. Can we see the results? Sarah asked, her voice nearly breaking. Yes, of course, he replied, reaching into his jacket and producing the envelope. But I must warn you, it's vital we discuss next steps in detail. It's going to take a lot of courage to face this. A heavy silence enveloped the room. Tommy's face paled further as he looked from the man to Maisie, eyes brimming with a confusion that hurt her heart. She realized while they were grappling with the uncertainty, someone needed to be the anchor for him. Tommy, she said softly, kneeling beside him, you're the bravest little dude I know. You just drew a dinosaur that flies to the moon. Do you remember that? His small lips twitched in a weak smile, and she could see the flicker of belief beginning to return. Yeah, but what if it can't fly? Then we'll build rockets together, and we'll find a way, I promise, she insisted, squeezing his hand tighter. With a deep breath, Sarah opened the envelope as if it were the door to an entirely different world. Each second seemed to stretch. She scanned the paper, her face a canvas of emotions, fear, sadness, but also a fierce determination. Let us go to the hospital, Tommy. We'll face this together. Maisie exhaled, her heart racing as Sarah turned to the man, her voice resolute. What do we need to do? Maisie felt the tremor of the atmosphere change once more. This was their moment to take the next step, to dive back into the unknown together. Yet, in the pit of her stomach, she couldn't shake the feeling that whatever loomed ahead would not only affect Tommy's future, but her own as well. What awaited them behind the hospital doors? And could they truly weather the storm together as they forged ahead into the unknown? As they made their way to the hospital, Maisie held Tommy's hand tightly, her heartbeat sinking with each step he took. The hospital loomed ahead, its stark, sterile facade sending shivers down her spine. She felt like she was crossing into a battlefield, a place where destinies were rewritten and where families either emerged stronger or shattered. Tommy glanced up at her, his wide eyes searching for reassurance. Are we gonna be okay? He asked, and for a fleeting moment, it felt like the weight of the world sat squarely on her shoulders. Absolutely, buddy, she said, forcing a smile that felt more like a mask. You're stronger than we know. Sarah walked ahead, her posture straight, but Maisie could see the tension in her shoulders. The motherly instinct radiated from Sarah, an energy that felt both protective and vulnerable. As they stepped inside, the smells of antiseptic and faintly burnt coffee enveloped them. It was a place of mixed emotions. Hope hung like sunlight, but shadows lurked everywhere. At the reception, they were met by a nurse with kind eyes who smiled sweetly at Tommy. Hello there. I hear you're a brave warrior, she chirped. The sparkle in her voice made him sit a little straighter. Maisie noticed how his small, pale face lit up at the compliment. It was a soft reminder that even in tough times, innocence could shine through. Yeah, I'm tough. Tommy replied, a hint of pride creeping into his voice. Maisie couldn't help but smile too. They were soon ushered into a small waiting room, filled with the quiet hum of anxiety. It felt like a million thoughts were bouncing around her mind, each one louder than the last. Would Tommy need more treatments? What would the side effects be? And most importantly, would he keep fighting? Sarah pulled out her phone and began scrolling. It seemed like a distraction, a way to avoid the mounting tension swirling in the air. Maisie wished she could reach inside her friend's heart and see the thoughts churning there. The silence felt thicker now as each second stretched, dragging like molasses, then the door swung open and a doctor stepped in, his face a mask of professionalism but his eyes carried warmth. "Good morning, I'm Dr. Ramirez. How are we doing today, Tommy?" he asked, kneeling down to the boy's level. Tommy shrugged, his bravado flickering. "I don't know, I'm kind of scared," he admitted, vulnerability spilling from him like rain. Doctor Ramirez nodded, his expression softening. "That's okay. It's completely normal to feel that way. But we're here for you. You're not alone in this." Maisie's heart swelled at the kindness in his words. Maybe they were going to be okay. Hope was still flickering in painful places, like a light bulb struggling but refusing to go out. As Dr. Ramirez began explaining the next steps, Maisie caught Sarah's gaze. It was a fleeting connection filled with unspoken fears and shared determination. The doctor's voice faded into the background, replaced by the thudding pulse of Maisie's thoughts. What if they were running out of time? She shook her head, trying to focus. She needed to be strong for Tommy. "Okay, Maisie," the doctor said, causing her to snap back to reality. "We'll need your help too. There are some questions I'll need to ask you regarding Tommy's health history." That's when Maisie felt the air shift again, the familiar knot tightening in her stomach. This was more than just a medical question, this was a reminder of how much she had to manage in the shadows. Questions about family and past histories floated into the air like unwanted ghosts, stirring fears she wasn't sure she could confront. "Of course," she replied, her voice steadier than she felt. But deep down, she wondered, could they really carry each other through this storm ahead? And what secrets were hiding in the life story they were about to unravel together? Maisie took a deep breath, and as she settled into the waiting room chair, a wave of exhaustion washed over her. It was hard to focus, to push the worry aside. Dr. Ramirez's words played in her mind like a broken record while her heart pounded in her chest. Each tick of the clock felt like a countdown. Tommy swung his legs, a nervous habit she had grown accustomed to. He was so small, yet here he was facing something so large. A part of her wished she could curl up next to him, shield him from the reality of the situation. But she knew she had to be the light for him, to keep darkness at bay, even when doubt snuck into her thoughts. Sarah, still scrolling on her phone, broke the silence. "Have you seen this?" she said, holding up the screen. "There's a support group that meets right here." Maisie squinted at the screen. "That could be helpful," she said, though a part of her wasn't sure. Sitting in a circle sharing feelings felt like an overwhelming task beneath the weight of everything that was happening. "They share stories, resources," Sarah continued, her voice lighter now, a flicker of hope in her tone. "It could help us get through all this." Tommy's voice interrupted her thoughts. "Can we go to the group, Maisie?" "Maybe it'll help," he replied, his eyes pleading. "Sure, buddy," she said, giving into the softness of his request. "We'll try it out." As they sat in the waiting room, the atmosphere around them started to change. It wasn't just the quiet hum of anxiety anymore, it was filled with the sounds of life, the giggles of children in a nearby room, the laughter of families as they shared small moments of joy even within the confines of a hospital. "See?" Tommy leaned in closer. "It's not so bad, is it?" His resilience made her smile truly this time. "You're right, Tommy. You're right," Maisie said. She felt something shift in her chest, a warmth blossoming that reminded her of why they were fighting this battle. It was not merely about illness, it was about living, about cherishing each little moment, even when shadows threatened to engulf them. The door opened again, and this time it was a different nurse, a woman with a bright pink scrubs and a ponytail that bobbed as she walked. "Tommy? We're ready for you now," she called. Maisie felt the knot in her stomach tighten again as Tommy took her hand and squeezed it. "Can you come with me?" he asked, his voice barely above a whisper. "Always," she replied, standing up with him. The two of them shared a look that seemed to communicate unspoken promises. They were a team, a unit forged by the fires of challenge. As they entered the examination room, the air felt heavy again, but Maisie focused on Tommy's hand in hers, warm and small. It was a lifeline, the tangible connection that anchored her amidst the swirling uncertainty. Dr. Ramirez was already at the computer, pulling up information about Tommy's recent tests. He waved them in with a kind smile. "Are you ready, Tommy?" Tommy nodded, a mix of excitement and trepidation in his eyes. Maisie held her breath, waiting for the doctor's words. She wanted to know everything, but at the same time, dread clawed at her heart. "Today we'll discuss some options. Some news that I think will surprise you both," Dr. Ramirez said, flicking a glance at Maisie that sent chills racing down her spine. "What do you mean?" she asked, her voice trembling slightly. As he continued, all she could think was how close to the edge they stood, teetering on the brink of hope and despair. Could they be ready for whatever revelation was about to unfold? She had no idea what was coming, but deep down, she sensed it could change everything. "Tommy, what if you discovered you were more than just a patient today?" Dr. Ramirez asked, and at that moment, Maisie felt time freeze around her, a moment of anticipation so thick she could scarcely breathe. Dr. Ramirez leaned closer to his tablet, scrolling through Tommy's medical history. Maisie's heart raced. She searched his expression for hints of what he meant. More than just a patient? What could that even imply? "Tommy," the doctor said, his tone shifting to something softer yet vibrant, "I know how strong you are. You've shown so much bravery. But today, I want to talk about the possibility of a clinical trial." "What's a clinical trial?" Tommy asked, his curiosity piqued. "It's a research study where we find new ways to help kids like you. And I believe your case could be a perfect match for a new approach." "It could change everything," Dr. Ramirez replied, his eyes sparkling with optimism. Maisie felt her pulse quicken. New opportunities meant hope, but it also meant uncertainty. "What kind of changes? Are they safe?" she questioned, trying to keep her voice steady while gazing at Tommy, who was practically bouncing in his seat. "Great questions, Maisie." Dr. Ramirez acknowledged warmly, "The treatments in these trials come with rigorous testing. We wouldn't move forward if we didn't believe in the results. This could provide some of the most innovative strategies we have. Think of it like a brand new tool to help win this fight." As the doctor continued, Maisie found herself hanging on every word. Tommy's face lit up with interest, his earlier fears momentarily forgotten. "So, are there other kids in the trial?" he asked, his voice hopeful. "Yes, children just like you, and you'll have a team of specialists devoted to you," Dr. Ramirez explained. "They'll monitor everything closely. It's an adventure worth considering." Maisie's mind spun. Adventure? How could this ever feel like an adventure? They were in the middle of a storm. But looking at Tommy, she realized this might offer him a chance to take control rather than feel swept away by the currents of uncertainty. "What do you think, buddy?" Maisie asked, nudging him gently. "It sounds like it could be a big change." Tommy paused for a moment, weighing the options. "Could it really help? I don't want just to be a patient. I want to be healthy," he said, determination creeping into his voice. "Then it's time to explore this together," Maisie encouraged, a swell of fierce pride filling her chest. They were in this as a team. "Always." Dr. Ramirez nodded, adding, "If you agree, we can set up a meeting with the trial team. They'll answer all your questions and explain everything from A to Z." He smiled, his confidence pouring into the room like sunlight piercing through clouds. Tommy took a deep breath, glancing at Maisie, seeking her approval, and she gave him a smile full of promise. "Let us do it, man. Let us see where this adventure takes us." Tommy's grin widened. "Yeah. Let us go." But just then, in the tense comfort of the moment, the nurse entered again, her expression serious. Maisie's heart sank slightly. Dr. Ramirez, there's been a development on the lab results. The air shifted, charged with a different energy. Maisie held her breath, feeling the weight of the unknown settling back in the room. Can we finish this conversation later? Dr. Ramirez asked, casting a quick glance at Tommy. Is it bad? Tommy asked, his voice a mixture of worry and bravery. Maisie squeezed his hand, wanting to shield him from whatever news was coming but knowing they had to be ready for anything. We'll handle it together, I promise. As the nurse whispered something to Dr. Ramirez, Maisie's heart raced. She wanted to believe in miracles, yet worry clouded her vision. What could be next? What did those lab results hold? In this moment of uncertainty, Maisie wondered, could they withstand another wave of news, and more importantly, would it lead them closer to hope or would it become an even heavier storm to navigate? Maisie felt a crushing weight settle in her chest as she watched Dr. Ramirez listen intently to the nurse. Time seemed to stretch, every second laden with unspoken tension. She glanced at Tommy, whose innocent eyes searched for answers. The dim light in the room felt heavier than before. Dr. Ramirez turned back, his expression still thoughtful but now accompanied by a thin line of worry. Tommy, he began, voice steady but gentle, what I'm about to say isn't easy. We always strive to be open and honest, but I don't want to scare you. Tommy fidgeted with his hands, gaze flickering between the doctor and Maisie. Just tell me, he urged, his voice remarkably calm for someone facing uncertainty. We found some things in your lab results that concern us. It appears the treatment you've been on isn't yielding the results we hoped for, Dr. Ramirez said, carefully choosing his words. Your body has shown resistance to the therapy. Tommy's shoulders slumped. Maisie squeezed his hand tighter, sensing the turmoil pooling beneath their surface. This wasn't what they pictured when they talked about new possibilities. Does that mean Tommy's voice trembled? Does that mean I can't do the trial? No, no. Dr. Ramirez rushed to reassure him. It means we need to adjust our approach. It doesn't shut the door on the trial, in fact, it might even guide us to better options. The trial focuses on finding the right blend of therapies that can work for you. We'll keep looking for ways to help you get better. Really? Tommy asked, uncertainty mixed with hope. The glimmer in his eyes returned, and Maisie couldn't help but feel a rush of gratitude for the doctor's careful optimism. Yes, really. But we do have to act quickly. There's no time to waste, Dr. Ramirez said firmly. We can arrange a meeting with the trial team and discuss what adjustments we can make. We'll sit down together, and they'll answer all the questions you have, and then some. Maisie could sense Tommy's heart racing again, the tiniest flicker of determination illuminating his expression. Okay. I want to talk to them. Great. Dr. Ramirez smiled, relief brushing across his features. Let's get this set up. But before the doctor could continue, the nurse returned, her demeanor now even more serious. Dr. Ramirez, there's been a change in the scheduling for the trial openings. They are filling up quickly, we need an answer soon. An icy chill swept through the room. The urgency in that statement felt like a countdown. Maisie looked at Tommy, who was catching on, his excitement laden with pressure. How could they make a decision so quickly? Is there anything else I need to know? He questioned, his youthful naivety stark against the gravity of the moment. Maisie could barely maintain her composure. There were so many questions swirling in her mind. We'll figure this out together, Tommy, she reminded him, hoping to bolster his confidence. Dr. Ramirez nodded, placing a reassuring hand on the boy's shoulder. I'll be here every step of the way. We are going to fight this not just for you but with you. Yet, as they made plans for the meeting, a deeper worry pricked at Maisie's heart. Would they find the right way forward? What if the trial didn't work? She took a deep breath, trying to shake off the suffocating fog of uncertainty. They needed hope now more than ever, just as they started discussing the next steps. a new thought crossed her mind. What if there were other options outside this trial? What if the right answer was hidden somewhere they hadn't yet looked? Facing this crossroads, she pondered the possibilities. Would adventure truly find them, or would they retreat from this storm? As they left the office, Maisie promised herself to explore every avenue, every potential pathway. Together, they would not just fend off despair, they would seek hope and light, no matter where it led them. The question lingered in the air, heavy yet electric: what new horizons would they uncover in the search for Tommy's healing? As they walked down the hospital corridor, the sterile smell of antiseptic filled Maisie's lungs. It was overwhelming, like the impossible weight of their reality. Yet, she had to remain strong for Tommy. Each step they took echoed with unspoken thoughts and heavy emotions. "Maisie," Tommy said, his small voice breaking through her encroaching anxiety. "What do you think they'll say at the meeting with the trial team?" She met his gaze, lifting the corners of her mouth into a smile, one that felt both genuine and forced. "I think they'll have some great ideas to help you feel better." Tommy nodded, but uncertainty still clouded his eyes. But what if they don't? The question hung in the air, just as heavy as the silence that followed. Maisie's heart ached. Life had never prepared her for moments like this. If they don't have all the answers, there are always alternatives. "We'll keep searching until we find something that works." As they exited the building, warm sunlight bathed them, striking a stark contrast against the cold walls they'd just left. It felt almost surreal, as if the world outside was blissfully unaware of the storm brewing within the walls of the hospital. "Where do we go now?" Tommy asked, glancing up at her. "Let us get some fresh air first," she suggested, hoping the outside air would ease the tension coiling around them both. They walked to a nearby park, something familiar and carefree. The trees swayed gently in the breeze, and laughter from nearby children pulled at her heart. Would Tommy ever get to enjoy moments like that again? Sitting on a bench, she watched as Tommy entertained himself by tossing small pebbles into a pond. Each splash resonated like a tiny victory, a reminder that even small actions could create ripples. Maisie picked up a pebble, feeling its cool, smooth surface. "I believe in you, Tommy," she said, lifting the stone high before throwing it into the water. "Every splash is a new possibility." "Do you really?" he asked, the doubt lingering in his voice almost palpable. "Of course. You're brave, and you have the strength to face whatever comes next." She leaned closer, warmth radiating in her words. She wanted him to feel that strength, she wanted him to see the light in his own battle. A spark of determination ignited in his eyes. "Then let us do it," he said with newfound resolve. "Let us find those other options together." As the sun dipped lower in the sky, casting a golden hue over the park, Maisie felt a flicker of hope. She pulled out her phone, ready to explore possibilities she had not considered before. "Maybe," she muttered, her mind racing with ideas. "We can look into support groups or alternative treatments. There's a lot out there." Tommy's enthusiasm was infectious. "Like superheroes finding hidden treasures?" His face lit up with excitement. "Yes. Exactly like that." Maisie chuckled, the warmth of the moment rekindling some much-needed light in her heart. "I'll search all night if I have to." But as night began to envelop them, the weight of reality still lingered. A chill crept up her spine. What if they didn't find anything? What if they were forced to stick with the trial that wasn't working? When they returned home later, the air felt thick with unanswered questions. She tucked Tommy into bed, brushing his hair back tenderly as he stared up at her with eyes brimming with dreams. "Promise me, Maisie," he said softly. "Promise me we won't give up." "I promise," she whispered, squeezing his hand gently. Her heart pounded with determination, a fierce loyalty cementing her every word. They were a team in this fight, a formidable unit against the uncertainty. As she closed the door, the echoes of their conversations lingered in the stillness. Maisie couldn't shake the feeling of urgency. They had to act fast, explore every path, but which would lead them to the right one? What awaited them on this unpredictable journey? The weight of the moment pressed down on her, and in her heart, she knew, they were just at the beginning of something vast and unknown. Tomorrow, they would dig deeper, searching for answers that might just change everything. But which path would they take? The sun rose the next morning, spilling soft light into Maisie's small kitchen. She sat at the table, a notebook filled with scribbled notes spread before her. Each word an untold promise, each idea sparking hope. The coffee pot gurgled as she absent-mindedly sipped from her mug, her mind whirring with possibilities. Tommy's laughter echoed from his room, drawing a smile from her lips. She could already hear him stirring, excited about the new adventures they were about to embark on together. Today would be different, she told herself. Today, they would not just wait for answers but actively seek them out. "Ready, my brave hero?" Maisie called as she opened his bedroom door, basking in the sight of her son with tousled hair and a determined grin. "Almost. Give me one sec," he shouted, his small body darting around the room as he scrambled to put on shoes that seemed to sprout from the floorboards. They made their way to the living room, and she couldn't help but chuckle at the sight of him bent over the coffee table, a superhero figurine in each hand, battling an imaginary foe. "Victory!" Tommy announced, standing tall. The fierce look in his eyes melted her heart. Maisie knelt beside him, their eyes level. "Let us find our own kind of victory today," she said, emphasizing our as if to stitch them even closer. "We're on a quest for that hidden treasure we talked about." Tommy's face lit up, his imagination ignited with the thought. "Do you think we'll find the best treasure in the world?" "I do. But it might take some digging to uncover it." A wave of excitement coursed through her. She grabbed her phone, scrolling through the notes she had researched last night. "What do you say we start with support groups? Maybe find someone who has been there?" "Yeah!" he shouted, a bounce in his step. One call turned into two, then three as Maisie reached out to various groups in the area. Each knew their struggle, each offered a different slant of hope. There were stories of endurance, of choices no one ever expected to face, and of families fighting like hers. As they sat together on the couch, listening to the testimonials of others during an online meeting, Tommy clutched her hand tightly. Each story resonated with them both. A mother who fought for her child against insurmountable odds, a father who never lost faith even when hope seemed fleeting. "I want that," Tommy said, bouncing slightly as he gazed at the screen. "That could be us." "Yes. That could be us," Maisie echoed, a mixture of pride and wonder swelling in her heart. Her anxiety began to lift. "Everyone on this call is a fighter, just like you." After the meeting, they talked about their thoughts and feelings, voicing hopes they had resisted sharing before. She pulled out the notebook she had been writing in and together they began jotting down their ideas about what to explore next. Trying new treatments, talking to specialists, or even seeking out stories of children who had faced their own battles. Each page filled was like a wave of momentum building towards their collective goal. With each word they wrote, Maisie noticed Tommy's spirit shining brighter. The strength he had found was palpable, infusing her with reassurance she desperately needed. But as they finished their brainstorming session, a nagging worry flickered in the back of her mind. What if the answers they sought led to more heartache? What if something more devastating awaited them? "Maisie?" Tommy's voice broke through her thoughts. "Do you think we're really going to be okay?" Maisie swallowed hard, feeling the weight of his question. She forced a smile, but her heart raced at the uncertainty ahead. "I hope so, Tommy. We'll have to keep fighting, no matter what." There was a silence, heavy with the gravity of the unknown future. But in that moment of stillness, hope intermingled with apprehension. They were on an unpredictable journey, and perhaps that was exactly where they needed to be. As they began to plan their next steps, her phone buzzed with an unknown number that made her heart leap. Was it a possible lead? She glanced at Tommy, who was watching her expectantly, eyes wide with wonder. What adventure awaited them next, and would it truly be the treasure they were searching for? Maisie's heart raced as she answered the call. A voice on the other end introduced itself as a coordinator for the clinical trial they had discussed with Dr. Ramirez. "We think Tommy might be a great fit for our next phase," the voice said, enthusiasm lacing each word. Hope surged through her like a warm wave. "Can we start right away?" she asked, her voice trembling with anticipation. "Yes, we'll arrange for a team to meet with you both as soon as possible to go over what the trial involves. We really believe this could be a turning point for him," the coordinator replied, and the sincerity in their tone pierced through her doubts. Thank you so much," she stammered, unable to contain her joy. As she hung up, she spun around, beaming at Tommy. "Guess what? We're moving forward. They want to meet us." "Really?" His eyes sparkled brighter than the sun streaming through the window. "Does that mean I can be a superhero?" "Absolutely. Superheroes don't just wait for things to happen, they fight for them, and that's exactly what we're doing, buddy." With newfound energy, they turned their brainstorming into action. Maisie filled the pages of her notebook with questions for the new team, while Tommy drew stick figures of themselves as superheroes battling the big bad illness. "This is us," he shouted with childish glee, but as excitement bubbled over, anxiety bubbled beneath. What if this trial didn't work? What if time was not in their favor? But she couldn't let that drown out the light they had found together. Over the next few days, they continued their quest with hope and determination fueling their spirits. They visited local centers, talked to families who faced similar struggles, and discovered path after path, holding on to the thread of possibility. Their bond grew stronger. Maisie felt like a compass, pointing Tommy towards a space where hope resided, and he, in turn, filled her with the courage to face each day. Then the day of the trial meeting arrived. Maisie adjusted the collar of her shirt, the nerves fluttering around in her stomach. "Tommy, let us go. Time to meet our new team," she said, masking her trepidation with an encouraging smile. When they arrived, Tommy marched in like a brave knight. The room buzzed with a friendly energy that felt surprisingly welcoming. Dr. Ramirez welcomed them, standing alongside a team of specialists. They each introduced themselves, sparkling with kindness and determination, the warmth radiating through Maisie like an embrace. "Tommy, we're excited to meet you. Here's a team that's devoted to your battle," Dr. Ramirez said. "And we're here to guide and support you every step of the way." With every word, Maisie felt the tension release. Together, they discussed the details of the trial, possibilities, risks, and next steps. No matter how daunting, they educated themselves alongside Tommy, who listened in awe, his small hand wrapped securely in hers. "You see?" she whispered to him as they paused for a moment, "this is our mission, together. And no matter what, we're not alone in this fight." He nodded, his tiny finger drawing a heart in his notebook, a symbol of their collective strength. As the meeting wrapped up, everyone exchanged smiles, promising to work tirelessly for Tommy's best interests. They left the building filled with a glowing, youthful energy, and the world outside seemed more vibrant than ever. Tommy turned to her, his excitement bubbling over. "Mom! That was awesome. I can't wait to be a part of the trial." His joy was infectious, pulling Maisie into a moment of pure elation, a slice of life free from worry, if only for now. In the following weeks, as they started the trial, Maisie stood firm, facing every hurdle placed before them. There were ups and downs, but with each small victory, their family unit tightened around the inevitable challenges. Tommy grew stronger, laughter weaving into their daily battles. And one crisp morning, while sitting on the steps of their home, they noticed a package resting at the door. Maisie picked it up, her heart racing. Inside was a beautifully illustrated book titled Adventures of a Brave Knight. "This looks just like us." Tommy exclaimed, his eyes sparkling brighter than ever. Exactly. It is us. Let us fill the pages with our own stories, she replied, a smile erupting on her face. As they flipped through the book, filling in their dreams and experiences, while riding the tidal waves of uncertainty, they carved out their own path together, a path surfaced in resilience, laughter, and love. With each stroke of pencil on paper, they crafted a tale, a testament to their battles, their triumphs, and the love that kept them anchored. Standing against life's storms, they became a living narrative of hope, a journey shaped by the belief in miracles, the courage to forge onward, and the unbreakable bond of family. In that moment, under a clear sky, embracing the possibilities that lie ahead, Maisie knew, they were just getting started. So, let us remember this incredible journey we've shared together. If you resonated with Tommy and Maisie's powerful transformation, then you need to subscribe now so you don't miss the next exclusive stories. Hit that like button now, it really feeds the urgency of this algorithm. Don't wait not even one more second to share this video with at least 5 friends who need to see this transformation. Let us build our community of hope and light together. We can change the world, one story at a time.